Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I come from a blended family. My mom married my stepdad when I was 16, and with him came my stepsister, Claire, who was 18 at the time. Claire and I never really got along. She was the typical golden child in the family. Beautiful, popular, always praised for her accomplishments. I was quieter, more introverted, and often felt like I was living in her shadow. My mom adored her, and it felt like I could never measure up. Still, I tried to make the best of the situation. It wasn't easy, but I learned to live with it. When Claire got engaged to her fiance, Jake, a few years later, the family acted like it was the event of the century. Claire was gushing over her ring, showing it off to everyone, and my mom was over the moon, talking about how perfect they were together. Honestly, I was happy for her at the time. I wasn't particularly close with her or Jake, but there was no animosity either, at least not from my end. But then, everything went downhill fast. A few weeks before Claire and Jake's wedding, Claire's engagement ring went missing. It was a huge deal. Everyone in the house was panicking, and Claire was hysterical. That ring was her prized possession, and she had been flashing it everywhere since the day she got engaged. She was in tears, screaming about how it had been stolen. And then, she pointed the finger at me. I remember the moment like it was yesterday. Claire came storming into my room, accusing me of stealing her engagement ring. She claimed that I had taken it because I was jealous of her, and, get this, that I was in love with Jake. I was completely blindsided. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'd never had any romantic interest in Jake, and the idea that I would steal Claire's ring out of jealousy was absurd. But Claire was dead set on her story. She told our parents that she had seen me near her room the day the ring went missing, and that I had been acting weird around Jake. None of this was true, of course, but Claire was convincing. She played the victim perfectly, sobbing and saying she couldn't believe her own sister would betray her like this. And the worst part? My family believed her. I tried defending myself, telling them that I had nothing to do with the missing ring, but no one listened. My mom and stepdad were furious. They said they didn't raise a thief, and that I should be ashamed of myself for ruining Claire's engagement. I was heartbroken. Here I was, being accused of something I didn't do, and the people who were supposed to love and support me were treating me like a criminal. In a matter of days, my entire family turned against me. My mom told me that I needed to leave the house because I couldn't be trusted around Claire or Jake anymore. They kicked me out with barely any time to gather my things. I was devastated, homeless, and completely alone. No one would listen to me. They all believed Claire's lies, and I had no way to prove my innocence. I ended up staying with a friend for a while, trying to pick up the pieces of my life. My relationship with my family was shattered, and I honestly didn't think I'd ever speak to them again. Claire got married to Jake without a hitch, and from what I heard through mutual friends, the wedding was perfect, as if nothing had ever happened. For 5 years, I had almost no contact with my family. They made it clear that they wanted nothing to do with me, and frankly, I was done trying to convince them of the truth. I built a new life for myself, found a great job, made new friends, and even met an amazing man who would later become my husband. I was happy, but there was always a part of me that felt hurt and betrayed by what had happened. My own family had thrown me away over a false accusation, and I didn't know how to move past that. In the meantime, I heard bits and pieces about Claire's life through social media and mutual acquaintances. Her marriage to Jake didn't seem as perfect as she had wanted everyone to believe. Rumors circulated that they were having problems, but I didn't really care to find out the details. I had moved on, or at least I tried to. Then, about a month ago, I got a phone call from my mom. After 5 years of silence, hearing her voice brought up a lot of emotions: anger, sadness, and confusion. She sounded nervous, and I could tell right away that something was wrong. She asked if we could meet up, and despite my better judgment, I agreed. When we met, my mom broke down in tears. She told me that they had found Claire's engagement ring. Apparently, while they were cleaning out Claire's old room, they found the hidden ring in a small box at the back of her closet. My mom was horrified and admitted that they had all been wrong to accuse me. It turned out that Claire had misplaced the ring all along, and instead of admitting her mistake, she let me take the blame. I was furious. I had lost 5 years with my family, my home, and any semblance of a trust over a lie. But it got worse. My mom then told me that Claire's marriage to Jake had fallen apart. Jake had found out the truth about the ring, too. He discovered that Claire had falsely accused me out of jealousy. He learned that Claire had concocted the story because she felt threatened by me. She thought Jake liked me more because he had once complimented me at a dinner party, and in her twisted mind, that meant that I was after him. When Jake learned the truth, he was disgusted and filed for divorce. Claire's life was falling apart, and now my mom was coming to me, begging for forgiveness. She asked if I could come back into the family and help heal the wounds. She told me that Claire was struggling and that my forgiveness would mean a lot to her right now. I sat there, listening to my mom's tearful apology, and all I could feel was rage. My family had thrown me away without a second thought, and now they expected me to just forgive and forget because they had finally realized their mistake. Claire had let me take the fall for something I didn't do, and it had ruined my life for years. And now, her perfect little life was crumbling, and I was supposed to be the one to help pick up the pieces? No. I told my mom that while I appreciated her apology, I wasn't ready to forgive anyone, especially not Claire. I had spent 5 years building a life without them, and I wasn't sure if I even wanted them back in it. The pain they caused me wasn't something that could be easily erased, just because they now knew the truth. My mom left our meeting heartbroken, but I couldn't bring myself to care. After everything I went through, I needed to look out for myself. Since that meeting, my family has been trying to reach out to me more. Claire, of course, hasn't contacted me directly, but I know from mutual friends that her life is in shambles. Jake divorced her, and she's been struggling with the fallout. She lost her job, her marriage, and now, apparently, she's losing her mind over the guilt of what she did to me. As for me, I'm doing okay. I've been trying to work through the feelings of anger and betrayal, but it's hard. Part of me wants to reconcile with my family, but another part of me feels like they don't deserve it. They threw me away so easily, and now that they're facing the consequences of their actions, they want me to swoop in and fix everything. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to forgive my family, even though they've now realized their mistake? Should I give them another chance, or is it too late to rebuild the trust that was shattered all those years ago? I'd love to hear your thoughts, because right now, I'm at a loss for what to do. OP's stepsister accused OP of something awful out of pure jealousy and let OP's family kick her out. 5 years of OP's life were stolen because of her lie, and now they want OP to swoop in and heal the wounds? Sorry, but they don't get to demand forgiveness just because their perfect little world is crumbling now. This is infuriating. Not the a-hole, and honestly, I don't think you owe them anything. Your family blindly believed Claire without a second thought and turned their backs on you. And now that the truth is out, they're scrambling to fix things. It's disgusting how quickly they discarded you, and they don't get to play the "we're sorry" card when it's convenient for them. Focus on your own happiness. Not the a-hole. 5 years of no contact because of a lie, and now they expect you to forgive and forget? No way. The fact that your stepsister let this go on for so long shows just how manipulative she is. Your family owes you a lot more than just an apology, and you're under no obligation to forgive them. Rebuild your relationship only if it feels right for you, not because they want to ease their guilt. For context, my brother is 14 and I'm 16. He always lies. One example, when I was 12 and he was 10, he lied to my parents saying I spent almost $100 on their credit card, when in reality it was him. But after me even showing proof that it wasn't me who spent the money, they made me pay for my brother because I was the older sister. They made me pay the $100 by taking that money from the money my family, my aunts and grandma, gave me for my birthday that year, and that's just one example. Anyways, this Christmas he wanted a PC and he's been saving for months, so he almost had enough, but needed about $300 more, and I at the time had $500. He asked me for the money, and I told him only if he paid me back. He said he'd pay me back in like 6 months. I said no, I wasn't going to give him the money, that I needed it in 3 months. He then threw a fit about me saying no, and I told him to grow up. About 5 days later, we went to our grandma's house to see my baby cousin. Everything was going well until my grandma, 61, told me to go into her room and that we needed to have a talk. So I went into her room. She then told me that my brother told her that I was in gang activity, I smoked W, sold D. We live in a not-so-safe town, and that I robbed him of his PC money by withdrawing it all from the bank. I have access to his bank account so he can use money from time to time as he doesn't have a card. I obviously denied all of those claims, and my grandma told me that she believed me, but that she showed me his account and it was completely empty, so where had the money gone? I let her know I had zero clue where it went, and whatever he showed her must have been fake. She told me that the money was gone, so I had to pay it. I told her no, that I'm not paying it, and explained to her what happened on Christmas, and she just said all right. When we got home, I exploded on my brother, calling him a jerk, a loser, and many other things. I asked him how he could even say all that stuff about me to our grandma, and he just started yelling and saying, "Well, maybe if you gave me money for my PC, none of this would have happened. A good sister would have done it, which is why I don't know why I consider you my sister." I told him that I didn't consider him my brother and called him the biggest brat I know. He went up to his room, and it's been 9 days since we last spoke. We live in the same house, by the way. He just doesn't want to talk to me. My parents told me to just give him the $300 he needs so we can go back to being a family. I told them no, and that he was a spoiled brat and already has enough money. So, am I the a-hole for exploding on my brother after he lied to my grandma about me stealing all of his money? Not the a-hole. You're 16. It's not your responsibility to give him money. Please take this advice. Do not lend him any money anymore. He's a shady liar, and he's spoiled AF. Not the a-hole, and your parents are failing both of you. This will be the second time that they're trying to reward him for stealing from you. Don't give him that money or anything else. Not the a-hole. I feel bad they made you pay the $100. If I were you, I'd start saving every penny you have so when you're 18 you can move out. Maybe move for college. Your parents are literally training him to always rely on you when he comes up short. When you grow up and move out, you're probably going to have a very rough time at first, like most, managing rent, car expenses, other living expenses. Now imagine also having to continue to coddle him on top of that. Work hard and be responsible with your money, and good luck. Update. After finding out I'm not crazy, I took your guys' advice and told my parents that they're raising an entitled brat, to not make me pay for his stuff anymore, and to take his bank details so I don't manage it anymore. They then started screaming and yelling that I was an a-hole and that my brother is family and family helps each other out. And then my mom said, quote, "The reason we treat him so well is so that he turns out better than you. You're a failure." I called my aunt and she came and picked me up. I'm staying with her tonight. After I left, my mom texted me that she was sorry for yelling at you and told me to come home. I told her no and that I'm staying with my aunt for the weekend. Update 2. After I got to my aunt's house, I went to bed. Woke up to about 137 text messages from my mom, 27 from my dad, and 1 from my brother. To sum them up, mom's messages: "How could you post this? You're humiliating us." Dad's messages: "Very disappointed in you." My brother's message: "Haha, I showed them posts after this. You're gonna have to pay me." I told my aunt about the Reddit post and showed them all of their messages. She told me that staying with her for a while would probably be best. She drove me to my parents' house at 7 a.m. I grabbed my textbooks and other stuff I need and left. So, for my female 27, 18th birthday, my parents bought myself a 4-door silver Jeep Wrangler. It had been my dream car for a long time, and I was so ever grateful my parents had bought me one. So my cousin, female 23, dream car was also a silver 4-door Jeep Wrangler, which I had no clue about as we had grown apart over the years due to other reasons. When my cousin found out about my new Jeep, she was not happy at all. She had been complaining to my sister, female 18, about how I had stolen her dream car from her and that my parents should have talked to her first before purchasing the Jeep. She had also asked me on several occasions if she could borrow my vehicle for 3+ day road trips across my country. I had explained to her that I don't feel comfortable lending my vehicle out for a road trip when I wouldn't be going, and she had a vehicle that would suit her fine for her road trip. She was not happy. She proceeded to call me a spoiled brat and that I need to share my car with my cousin because that's what family does. Fast forward to November 2020. I had been driving the Jeep and I didn't like the Jeep anymore for a handful of reasons. I'm a RMT student who works part-time, and Jeeps are gas guzzlers and can be very expensive on gas, with very low gas mileage and let alone maintenance, which I couldn't afford on my own. So I decided I was going to purchase a new vehicle that was way better on gas mileage. So the issue is that my cousin had found out I was looking for a vehicle and had offered to buy my Jeep from me. So my Jeep was brand new when I got it and had less than 100,000 kilometers on it. It was in great condition as well. So I told her that if she wanted to buy it from me, I am asking for $37,000 for it. She told me that she would not pay me that amount, and I should be grateful she was offering $20,000. I told her that it would not work for me, and I apologized and hoped she could understand. So I went ahead and traded my Jeep in and got my new car. My cousin had stopped by just after Christmas to do a quick gift exchange. She had saw my new car in the driveway and lost her mind. She started yelling at me how she had been saving up money to purchase the Jeep from me, but didn't tell me this at all. She then proceeded to say I was not taking care of my new car as it was dirty on the outside. It snowed and then proceeded to melt, which makes the streets so dirty, and there's no point of washing the car until it's freezing out, which I proceeded to tell her. She called me some pretty nasty names. She then went to social media to proceed to tell how her family doesn't support her and rubs it in her face that I had my dream car, got bored of it, and sold it when she had been saving up to buy it from me. I talked to my family and they told me I wasn't the a-hole, but my aunt had sent me some nasty texts saying how I was the a-hole for not helping my cousin get her dream car. I was just looking out for myself and my financial situation. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. Currency is in Canadian dollars. Not the a-hole. If she wanted the car so bad, she should have made more of an effort to get it from you. As for her mother, your aunt, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They're both a-holes. Not the a-hole. Sorry you are dealing with all of that. Your cousin needs to take multiple steps back as well as your aunt. You don't owe them anything as far as I can see. Did your cousin live with you growing up? Do your parents treat your cousin like their child? Because I don't understand why your cousin was upset that your parents did not talk to her about buying the Jeep. Seems strange. If one of my cousins approached my parents and said, I also want X car, they would be given a very strange look. Not the a-hole, obviously. Your parents got you that car. Your cousin doesn't get exclusive rights to wanting the same car you did and got. She's being very spoiled and entitled for her behavior. Not only that, you had a price range for selling the car she couldn't reach. People often give a family discount for things, but they are not obligated to do so, especially if they can get a better deal somewhere else. Cut contact with your cousin and tell her you're done with her BS until she apologizes. She doesn't get to dictate what you own or do with your possessions, nor is she entitled to anything of yours, especially when she badmouths you and gets mad because you wouldn't share. My 29 female, little sister, 13, and I share the same mother, but different fathers. My parents separated when I was young, and my mom remarried 4 years later. My stepfather was okay when we were little, but he would always yell at us growing up, so I always maintained a distance from him. When my mom got pregnant and had my little sister, he was very different as a parental figure. Before she was born, he would always complain that we, his stepchildren, were spoiled, but when his daughter was born, he coddled her and was very protective of her, which made me see that he was actually capable of love. Due to his excessive coddling, I was never able to get close to my sister, because if she would ever do anything wrong and if I lectured her, she would tell her dad, and he would scream at me. She always knew the result of going to her dad from the time she was 4 years old, and used it to whatever she wanted. My mom never lectured or disciplined her, so I took on the role, and each time regretted it. One time, my little cousin, 9 male, came to visit and played video games the whole time, but my sister, who was 6 years old at the time, wanted to play with him outside, and he refused. She told her dad, who screamed ruthlessly at him, and now 6 years later, my little cousin still wants nothing to do with her. When my mom made it my duty to do homework with her, she would get bored and mess around, so I would sternly tell her she couldn't watch TV until we finished. She would go cry to her dad, who would scream at me that he didn't finish school and turned out fine, so to leave his kid, who was in elementary school, alone. The man's hatred for me has grown over the years because my relationship with my mom has gotten closer as I get older. He finds reasons to mess with me and even my business, although I always make it a point to stay away from him. Recently, I took in a foster teen, 14, who gets along very well with my little sister. The two want to do a slumber party at my house, but I flat out said no. I am a very strict person, and she has grown up not having to follow rules. Unfortunately, she's my sister, but also his daughter, and I feel like I need to keep my distance from her too. He's very upset about me saying no to his daughter, and my mom agrees with him that I am alienating my own sister. Am I wrong here? Should I just allow her to come? I do love my sister and understand she is innocent from her dad's actions, but she knows him very well. She knows if someone upsets her for anything at all, he will scream and cuss them out. Our last argument led to him getting into my face and screaming loud enough that his spit went into my face and mouth. That was because I had asked her to apologize to our aunt for talking back after my aunt asked her to pick up her clothes from the floor. Not the a-hole. Keep her out of your house. Anyone that spit in your face deserves to never see you ever again. It's too bad that your sister is going out into the world thinking that everything will go her way. She is in for a rude awakening not too long from now. Not the a-hole. Your stepfather is setting your younger sister up to have a hard time in the world, when he will not be able to intervene and protect her from the consequences of her behavior. His behavior towards you sounds pretty awful. You have a responsibility to your foster child to not let them end up in a situation where your stepfather screams and yells at them. Your sister might mean well, but it sounds like when she doesn't get her way, she goes to her dad and he blows his top, and that would be terrible for you and your foster child. Update. I want to point out that when I used to discipline her with a lecture, it was mostly when I was her babysitter and she was running around the house, refusing to do her homework, or playing with something that would hurt her. She being a kid, I would explain to her she shouldn't do that and explain why. I never punished her. Or if she played with other kids and did something to upset them, I would ask her to play with the others nicely, or else they won't want to be her friends. Anytime someone tells her not to do something, her dad didn't like it. As she got older, she liked to play with my stuff. Once, she destroyed $200 worth of my makeup, and I asked her to clean it up. She got mad and told her dad. I don't actually regret reprimanding her or lecturing her, because I am the only one person in her life who she is not disrespectful towards. When I say I'm strict, I mean as a foster parent for a teenager, it is my responsibility to teach her to be independent and self-sufficient, so life can be easier in 4 years when she is on her own. Since the last time he screamed at me, spit and all, I stopped caring what my sister does. Update 2. I've decided to stand by my decision. My mom is an immigrant raised in a toxic culture that frowns on single adult women. My culture also frowns on divorce and is very patriarchal. Men can do no wrong as master of the house. I do hold some hard feelings towards her in regards to the man she married, but I don't want that to affect our close relationship. In a way, I feel like he really wants to get me out of the picture, and if he could, he would. I don't want to let him win, nor do I want to lose my mom as the only family I have. He hates that me and my mom are so close. Despite her flaws, my mom means the world to me. My mom is actually a good person with a heart of gold, who can't seem to let go of a toxic man. She is a very loving mother who has worked hard to provide for us. Unfortunately, she doesn't see how the man she loves affects her kids. It's honestly very complicated, like with most family. I am prepared to walk away from all of them if he does anything that might affect my foster child. I do not want to create a repeating cycle. I also mean the world to her, and she relies on my protection. I have talked to my foster daughter and told her my little sister was very immature for her age and relies a lot on her dad. I have also explained to her that her dad was sick and didn't know how to regulate his emotions like a normal adult. I didn't actually expect for the girls to get along. Her first day with me, she was so upset to lose her previous home, and I thought someone her age might help her be more comfortable. They met and got along well. She told me that she sees my little sister like her own, and she asks me to visit her every weekend. She makes sure she does all her chores and schoolwork by the weekend, so I can't say no. I can't actually tell her she can't visit my family or have a relationship with my mom and sister, because in her eyes, they are welcoming and warm people, and she really wants to be a part of my family. We are both new to each other, and I don't want her to feel rejected. My stepdad doesn't actually spend a lot of time at home, as he works weekends when we visit, so I haven't had to really worry about his explosive moods towards my foster daughter. My little sister is a brat, definitely, but for some reason, she does everything to impress my foster daughter. She idolizes her, so I have a feeling the one with influence is my kid. Nothing is always as it seems, however, so I do keep a close supervision on them. This is especially easy since they are stuck in the house with the pandemic. I think when kids start attending school in person again, She'll make more friends and will probably visit my mom's less. For now, my sister's the only friend that she has, outside of her social worker, teachers, and me. All around, it's a delicate situation, but I think it's worth allowing her friendship with my sister, as long as I'm around to supervise, and as long as her dad is not around being a jerk.